Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I had a subscriber make a comment which, I always hear people say this. I've heard a number of people say this, vegans and other people, and it just blows my mind when people make statements like this. And he made it in my video on the meta-analysis of milk, and let's keep in mind, guys, I'm not even promoting drinking milk because I'm lactose intolerant. I can't drink milk. I can't drink milk. So he made this comment, and he's like, humans are the only creatures stupid enough, the only species stupid enough to drink the milk of other animals. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, do a little bit of crafting, and let's talk about this. This is kind of weird. This is where we're going to see a slight cultural impasse, or more of a demographic impasse. I originally grew up on a ranch in the country, like 20 miles from the nearest actual town, like a town meaning at least 10,000 people in it. All right. I've been around animals. I've been in the woods a lot. I've hunted my entire life. And, oftentimes people who live in cities, they think of country folk as being ignorant. And then you see stuff like this, and you have to look at this, and then it makes everyone who lives in the country see statements like this, and it makes them think that people who live in cities, city dwellers, city folk, are stupid and ignorant as fuck. Because this statement is so fucking ignorant, and you hear it all the time, that this is someone who has probably never been outside of like New York City or Houston or Detroit. This person has clearly never been around animals for any length of time, other than people. Because, let me break this down for you. The only reason most other animals don't drink the milk of animals, they won't let them. And when they do let them, they absolutely will do it 100% of the time. All right? Mammals will always drink the milk of other mammals given any opportunity to do so. The problem is most of them aren't intelligent enough to domesticate them, and most of them don't have opposable thumbs and everything that they can milk an animal. That's the only thing stopping them. And when you think when a predator kills a prey, if it happens to catch one that's got full mammary glands, it doesn't drink the milk too? Of course it does. Of course it does. That's energy, that's calories, that's protein. Of course it drinks it. And I'll give a perfect example of this. When I lived out on my family orchard, and it was about 20 miles from the ranch, we had several different properties, and I tended the orchard, and what we used to do, we used to bring heifers out there, and a heifer is a cow that has not birthed a calf yet. We were raising registered Brangus at the time, black Brangus, and we would bring the heifers to the peach orchard because they had an orchard and it was all fenced in and everything, and it was safe, protected, and we always had people there. Either I was living there or my mom would be up there, or someone else, family members would be there taking care of something. Someone was always there. And I lived on that property at the time, like full time. And what basically happened, we had heifers up there for their first birth, and when they had a newborn calf that they hadn't given birth before, because you can have trouble sometimes. Sometimes the calves will get stuck and you have to pull them out. You can have breech births and things. They're common sometimes with the first time, and then once a cow has had a calf, they're usually okay for the further ones, the fourth, fifth, seventh one, whatever, down the road. Most of them have a new one every year, for the next 15, 20 years. So that first one can be rough. So we would keep them there to make sure that they were okay. And we had one who had miscarried her calf when she was up there. A calf died. She had a stillborn calf like a couple weeks before it was due. And my mother had a couple of pet goats up there. These actually Nubian goats is what they were called. Just a black and brown breed. And she had this goat she had named Naomi. Well, Naomi had started to notice that the cow was over there grieving, and Naomi ran over to her and started messing with her, nuzzling with her and everything, trying to cheer her up. Well, she had given birth to a stillborn calf that had died the day before, and what she did she adopted Naomi, this goat, and used to like lick the goat and clean the goat like it was her own calf. And then the goat started suckling and drinking the milk of this cow. And we would look out there every single day, and the goat would be drinking the milk of the cow. All right, a goat, a fully adult grown goat. And the cow would bathe her and everything, you know. And so basically this went on for weeks. So pretty much this goat was suckling a cow because it allowed them to. The only reason animals stop drinking milk is because the parents wean them off and they force them to stop aggressively. And you go to a wild animal in the wild, catching it and getting it to let you take its milk, not going to happen. It requires domestication. But in this case, this wasn't an animal that had hunted and killed it and drank the milk. This is one who it allowed to suckle its milk. And what did it do? This adult goat, over a year old, had been weaned over a year before by its own mother, started suckling the milk from this cow. Why? Because it could. Because it remembered from being a baby that milk tastes good. It enjoyed it. It was nutritious. So because the cow allowed it to do so, it did. And that's the reality of it. And lots of animals have actually taken in babies of other animals and allowed those babies to drink their milk as well with babies. And that's actually somewhat common across some species. You'll see it sometimes. I've seen a puppy, a dog, allow kittens to nurse from it when the kittens that the mother had died. These things happen. Horses, cows, back and forth. You'll see that on ranches. They drink the species of others if they accept them as their own young and take them in. There's cross-species milk drinking. But with adults, if the animal allows it to happen, other adult animals will absolutely do so. So this idea that this person has that no other animal does this, of course they do. They do all the time. And I just gave an example that I watched firsthand happen. I've seen the same thing happen with cross species when a parent dies. Sometimes when you've got babies, I've seen different species that will allow them to drink their milk as well, the babies. All right, it happens. Happens there. Even read news stories on it. These things have happened in zoos and stuff. It's been done. So that being said, this is extremely ignorant of a statement. It's just profoundly ignorant. And what people don't grasp, they don't seem to grasp it. Just because you see something as unnatural doesn't mean that it can't be healthy. People throw this stuff out there, this naturalistic fallacy, that because they don't view something as being the natural way of things, that it can't possibly be healthy. And when you start using that as your logic behind things, you're going to get things wrong. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. There are a lot of things that are perfectly healthy that are as unnatural as they come. How about antibiotics? Did you know that naturally you're supposed to die every time you get a major infection? A major infection is supposed to kill you. That's the natural order of things. Antibiotics, insanely unnatural. They save lives and they're healthy. And the thing that people need to remember, the human species is the single most versatile animal on earth when it comes to diet variety. That is the reason humans survive in so many different climates. That's the reason we survive in so many different climates. We're so adaptable in certain ways, and we're so adaptable because we cook food, because we cultivate food, because we're willing to capture and cultivate animals. All these different things that we do because of our intelligence has allowed us to have access to a wider variety of nutrition and create foods into a manner that we wouldn't even be able to eat in nature. Because we know how to crack open seeds, we know how to cook foods to get extra nutrition out of them, to break certain casings down, to make them safer to eat, even cooking food pre-digesting. We're the only species on earth that cooks food also, by the way. Just throwing that out there. Is that suddenly unhealthy? No, it's been linked as being the single most important factor by anthropologists and us having the intelligence we have now is the fact that we ate cooked food for millions of years. All right, it is an enormous factor in there. They believe it has been the most important factor in us having the intelligence that we have as a species. So again, this whole idea that humans aren't meant to eat something, well, there's tons of things we weren't meant to eat that we live to ripe old ages. Many people live to be 100 plus years old eating. that we wouldn't eat in a natural environment because we have learned how to cultivate and prepare them in a way that we can eat them. And again, it's due to ingenuity, intelligence, opposable thumbs, fire, processing. It has given us the most varied diet of any species on Earth. And again, someone saying something like, well, other species of animals don't drink the milk of other species, is something that I can only envision an ignorant ass person saying who has never left an enormous city ever in their entire life. And they've just been stuck in one place and have no perception of the world, no perception of animals, no perception of how animals are raised or where their food even comes from. And if you don't know anything about where your food comes from, I don't care what sort of education you believe you have, you are fucking ignorant. That's the real world. Food is like the single most important thing to our survival. And if you don't know anything about it, where it comes from, you're fucking ignorant. And that sort of statement displays that. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.